Good morning. Good morning and welcome back to County, Cities, and Towns Subcommittee number 1, where we like to look at charters. I'm going to ask the members of the subcommittee to do roles, if they would indicate their presence on the electronic voting board, please. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have full attendance. That's excellent. I have a couple, just maybe one administrative procedure here first. If I could ask the members for a motion to incorporate Delegate Simon's 262 into House Bill 888.
So moved.
Thank you so much. I've got a motion and a second. Is that a voice vote, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
To incorporate?
Yes.
Great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Great. Thank you. And that was at, with the consent of the patron on 262. There seem to be a few folks online who were here to testify in support of 262, and I just wanted to acknowledge that you all are here. And if you wanted to stay on to testify on 888, we would be happy to have you all continue to stay on. As usual, I'm going to try to go in the order of what's on my agenda this morning, depending on sort of who's in the room. And so the first person I see from my agenda in the room is Delegate Hayes. Delegate Hayes, good morning.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. You have before you House Bill 679. Madam Chair, members of the committee, this bill was brought to me and requested by the city of Portsmouth. And basically what is requested is that we add the city of Portsmouth to the list of localities that automatically have a review process for any exception to the zoning that's designated on a previous owner of a particular property. The city of Hampton, as well as the city of Norfolk, which is in our immediate environment, both of those localities have this exception. I believe it's also the city of Richmond that has such a automatic renewal and review of the special exception at determination of a certain approved special designation. We do have online, I believe, is Chief of Police, as well as the zoning administrator for the city, as well as in the room, Sherry Neal, who's the government relations person for the city of Portsmouth.
Perfect. Thank you, Delegate Hayes. Are there any questions from members of the committee? No, seeing none, we'll go to the audience in the room. Are there folks who'd like to speak in support of House Bill 679? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Sherry Neal. I'm the Intergovernmental Affairs Manager for the City of Portsmouth. We thank Delegate Hayes for bringing this forward. As he said that Portsmouth needs stronger authority to control special use permits for establishments serving alcohol. Current law does not allow Portsmouth to impose automatic expiration conditions tied to ownership or management changes, creating enforcement gaps that impact public safety. And I'll save the rest of our time for our Chief Jenkins, who's on the line. Thank you. We hope that you will pass this bill.
Thank you, Ms. Neal, for being here this morning. Anyone in the room who'd like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, we're going to go online, Madam Clerk. I'm hoping I can see this screen here. Good morning, Chief Jenkins.
Good morning. How are you, ma'am? Hope everybody's doing good.
We're doing well. We're glad to have you this morning. Did you want to speak on this bill, Chief Jenkins?
Yes, ma'am. Just briefly, I'm hoping that you all will support the city of Portsmouth and this bill. Obviously, we've had some different challenges as it relates to some of our establishments as when it comes to zoning. The thing is that when we have the ability, we're looking for the ability to be able to go back and potentially hold the businesses accountable for some of their actions based on activity of their patrons. it's one of those things that we're looking at as a different tool for us when individuals get zoning permits. It makes it difficult when they've had long standing issues for us to be able to review and sometimes revoke those zoning permits because of the way the language is currently written. Some of our sister cities have had some success with bringing down the violence in those particular areas simply by being able to review the zoning rather than going through all-out law enforcement, long drawn-out process. And so we're just hoping that you all will support this particular bill that will give us some additional resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Jenkins, for being here this morning and joining us. I'm going to bring it back to members of the committee for additional comments or questions, and otherwise the body moves or operates by motion.
I'd like to make a comment and also a motion.
Great, Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Absolutely support this, and I believe localities need the tools in order to manage what they're dealing with in their neighborhoods. So thank you for bringing this, and motion to report, Madam Chair.
Second.
Excellent. There's a motion to report and a second. Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll. On a vote of 8-0, the bill reports.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Delegate Clark, do you want to go up next? I know you've got another thing to go to, so come on up. Good morning, Delegate Clark.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Today I have HB 940. It's a straightforward charter cleanup bill for the city of Suffolk. It updates several outdated provisions so the charter accurately reflects how the city is operating today. First, it corrects the council composition's language to reflect 8 members, consistent with the addition of directly elected mayor that was changed back in 2008. Second, it removes obsolete city clerk language that referred to an initial appointment term that expired in the 1970s and clarifies the clerk's role as it exists in practice today. Third, it updates the department oversight provision to reflect the city manager's longstanding responsibilities for the department directions. This bill makes no policy change and grants no new authority. It simply just aligns the charter with the current operations to avoid confusion and improve clarity. The city of Suffolk supports this bill, and I respectfully ask the committee to vote in favor.
Thank you, Delegate Clark. Any questions or comments from members of the committee? Delegate Martinez.
Delegate Clark, a question. You said 8 council members?
Yes.
Does not include the mayor?
No, it's 7 plus the mayor being elected now.
Okay, I just find it odd that it's an even number, which means that they can end up in ties.
Yeah, they do often.
So, yeah, that might be something to think about in the future. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I think they are.
I'm going to ask that comments and discussion go through the chair.
I'm sorry,
Thank you so
Madam
much.
Chair.
No worries. Does that answer your question, Delegate Martinez? Great. Thank you. Any other members? I'm going to go to the room for members in the audience who might want to speak in support.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Mindy Carlin, representing the city of Suffolk. We thank our delegate for putting this in and hope you will support it.
Thank you, Ms. Carlin. Anyone in the room who'd like to speak in opposition? I do not see anyone online either, and so we're back before the body and we operate by motion.
Move to report. Second.
There's a motion and a second to report. Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll. On a vote of 7-0, the bill reports.
Thank you, Madam
Delegate
Chair,
Clark.
members of the committee.
We're going to go back to our order of agenda. I see Delegate Austin is in the room. Delegate Austin, you've got House Bill 792 before us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam
Good
Chair.
morning.
Good morning, members of the committee. I have before you today HB 792. This was brought to me by the city of Lexington. It's a charter request bill, and it cleans up some language within the charter, but mainly what it does, it transitions the city school board from an appointed body to an elected body. It updates the city manager's residence from mandatory to preferred, and it removes the fixed appointment of the city attorney, allowing the position to serve at the pleasure of council. But what it also does, it consolidates the courts, city elections courts, with Rockbridge County courts, which it really needs to happen to benefit and bring value to the courts. So that's all the charter does, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Austin. I appreciate that. Are there any members from, are there any questions from members of the committee? Delegate Helmer.
Yes, Madam Chair. So I see this piece in here about that the council may require the manager to reside within the city. That would be but doesn't require them to anymore. I did hear a lot of testimony on the floor the other day about not providing benefits to government workers, and I do think it's actually important that councils pay enough to their council. So to move this forward, I think we're going to have to strip that provision from here, and I just wanted to make sure that the delegate will regard that as a friendly amendment. If we took out the we went back to the charter that say you shall reside within the city, as opposed to may reside within the city there.
I think, Madam Chair, certainly if that's the wishes of the committee, I think what I'm carrying is basically the language requested by the City Council. But if you want that provision in there, I'm assuming they would be agreeable, provided they've got the other necessary things that they asked for. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Austin. I think the other piece of this that raised a question for me was around the indefinite term. Usually in the charters that we've seen in this body or in this committee, they usually will say that the term is limited to the council's term, especially if they're an appointed officer by the council, and the council will say, we'll have to reappoint you every time we start a new term. And so the indefinite term for me gives me a little bit of hesitation, but we will continue to see what the will of this body may be, and I will open it up for comments or testimony from folks in the room. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in support? Seeing none. Are there any folks in the room who would like to speak against? I do not see anyone, and I don't see anyone online, Madam Chair, is that right? Or Madam Clerk? Okay, great. So we're back to the committee. Are there questions or other comments from members?
Madam Chair, I would welcome the amendments that you suggested if somebody wanted to make that motion to have the terms expire with the term. I think that makes a lot of sense and is consistent, as you said. And then the second one is to retain the shall reside within the city that was in the original charter, and to strike out the council may require the manager to reside within the city on such terms as the council shall establish. So I don't know if someone want to make that motion.
Mr. Uberchair, what I'm hearing then are two motions for amendments. One is to unstrike the requirements for residency, as well as unstriking the term of 4 years and striking the additional amendments in language. Is that correct? Sharp Council, are you tracking? Cool. Then those amendments are before us in that motion. There's a motion to adopt those amendments, and there's been a second. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Madam Chair,
Delegate,
speaking to the
Delegate
amendment, does the delegate need to circle back with the locality or the town to make sure that they're agreeable in this? It looks like you broaden your pool if you just limit to reside within the town of Lexington.
Delegate Austin.
Well, I certainly would like to ask that, but when will this go before full?
Full is actually up next immediately
So you're going
after
to pass
this.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's let the bill go with the amendments, and if necessary, I'll strike it before it gets to the floor.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Delegate Austin.
If they're not in agreement, I think that's fine. We'll do that.
Great. Excellent. And this body operates by motion if there's a motion.
Speaking to the bill for
Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just so we're all on the same page, what that amendment does is it restores the current language in the city charter. So it's not going to remove language from the city charter, right? The first piece. And then the second piece, instead of having the term of 4 years, which will be in the charter, that now it'll just be that the term expires with the term of the council. So I think you're essentially getting most of what you've asked for in the charter, and then what you haven't gotten is just reduced to the.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I don't disagree.
Delegate Austin. Okay.
I don't disagree.
Great. The committee operates by motion.
Move to report. Second. As amended.
Motion to report as amended with a second. Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll. On a vote of 7-0, the bill will report. Thank you, Delegate Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Let's see. HB 844, Delegate Kent, I see you in the room. Just following my agenda here. And then I do see Delegate Bolova, so you'll be up next. Good morning, Delegate Kent.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee. Thank you so much. I am here to present House Bill 844 regarding the town of Bowling Green. Bowling Green is the county seat of Caroline County with roughly 1,200 residents. And so this bill comes at the request of our town officials. This bill would allow the town just to develop criteria for providing discounted water and sewer fees and those charges for low-income, elderly, and disabled customers, which has to be identified in code. And so we have a resolution from the town that they would like to work on this. So this bill just allows them to set forth the path to do so.
Thank you, Delegate Kent.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from members of the committee? Anyone in the room who'd like to testify in support of this bill? Anyone who'd like to support or speak out in opposition to 844? I do not see anyone, and there's no one online either.
Move to report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to report House Bill 844. Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll. Thank you.
Thank you.
On a 7-0 vote, your bill reports. Thank you, Delegate Kent.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Delegate Bolova. Welcome to County, Cities, and Towns.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Bill HB 1342 supports a charter change for the city of Fairfax. This bill does two things. First, it amends its charter to align its elections with the current law. Elections had previously been held in May and were moved to November. This amendment simply cleans up the charter to reflect this election date change. Second, the City of Fairfax is seeking to set its own compensation amounts for boards and commissions and remove the $50 per meeting limit from the city charter. The limit has not been increased since at least 2004. Rather than set a hard cap in the city charter, the change would allow City Council to set the limit in accordance with its own budget. Both amendments were requested in a resolution adopted by the City of Fairfax City Council. I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Delegate Bolova. Are there any questions or comments from members of this committee? Seeing none, we'll go to the audience. Are there any folks in the room who'd like to testify in support? Seeing none, are there any folks in the audience who'd like to speak in opposition? I do not see any, and there is no one online. We're back to the committee to see if there are any questions or final questions or comments. Delegate Bolova, I've got a question for you. Do you think that this charter amendment will at all impact the throne public bathrooms in the city of Fairfax?
The throne?
Oh, yeah. Delegate Bolova, the newest initiative in the city of Fairfax has been to create public bathrooms called thrones.
Oh, yes. Now that you mention it, I clearly know about this situation. I think this will have absolutely no impact on the current mayor's very amazing initiative to support families in the community at events.
Thank you, Delegate Bolova. This body operates by motion. Excellent. We've got a motion to report and a second to report Delegate Bolova's 1342, which does not impact the public restrooms in the city of Fairfax. Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll. On a vote of 6-0, Delegate Bolova, 1342 reports. I
Thank you.
believe you've got one more in front of us. Delegate Bolova, 1376.
Okay. Madam Chair and members of the committee, HB 1376 makes an amendment to the statute called the Urban Public-Private Partnership Redevelopment Fund. The Partnership Fund was adopted by the 2000 General Assembly as a recommendation of a year-long study on affordable housing. The idea behind the fund is to help spark redevelopment of vacant or underutilized urban land so that it can be a productive part of the local economy. Unlike greenfield development, urban areas must deal with the parcel consolidation, clearing, and remediation of sites to make them attractive to developers. But once that is done, these become prime sites because they have access to existing infrastructure, including sewer, water, and transportation. Sadly, while the legislation passed, it was never funded. Now, 26 years later, concerns about housing and affordability have increased, with the governor making housing affordability the subject of her executive order number 3. At the same time, we are also experiencing an increase in vacant and underutilized office parks as a result of increased telework and reductions in the federal workforce. While the General Assembly is currently considering new tools, this statute attracted the attention of several groups as a potentially powerful tool for addressing housing needs, with a few tweaks. The bill before you changes the existing statutes in a couple of key ways. First, it expands the type of entities that can partner with a locality. Previously, it was just private developers. That is very limiting when there are lots of different ways to develop the partnership. Now it includes developers, but also nonprofits and local regional authorities, land bank entities, and property owner associations. The second item is giving the department more discretion in terms of the amount of the grant match and requirements. Previously, it couldn't be more than $500,000 and had to have a 100% match. That doesn't recognize the realities of fiscally stressed areas. The new language provides that match requirements considered will be both monetary and non-monetary contributions. Next, the fund targets 2 areas. The first are localities experiencing an above average level of fiscal stress. The second are localities experiencing a significant decrease in commercial real estate assessments. This takes into account many downtown areas that have huge levels of office vacancy that will never be filled and could better be used for housing. Finally, the Department of Housing and Community Development is to provide an annual report on the use and outcomes of the fund to appropriate committee chairs and the Secretary of Commerce and Trade. I recognize that for this to be truly effective, it will need to go to appropriations and be funded. But I hope that the committee will look favorably on the policy and the changes to the existing statute. I'm pleased to have the support of Fairfax and Arlington counties, as well as Virginia First Cities. I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Delegate Bulova. Are there any questions or comments from members of this committee? Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask the...
Mike, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask the patron, if you could give us just a summary. I'm looking at lines 48 through 58, referring to a work group. If you could summarize for us how that might work, if you have any knowledge of that, please.
I have some individuals here who can speak directly to that. I have Laura Bateman from Virginia First Cities.
Excellent.
Thank you.
We'll ask Ms. Bateman to come up. Good morning, Ms. Bateman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Laura Bateman, representing Virginia First Cities Coalition. In fact, we worked on this statute before I worked with Virginia First Cities, but some 26 years ago. We really thank Delegate Bulova for bringing it up. But to your question, the work group would be composed of a representative from the Department of Housing and Community Development, Virginia First Cities, VML, VACO, I think we have a representative of the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and that's to help get the guidelines together to, to focus on the fund.
Delegate Keys-Gamarra, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Are there any other members who have questions or comments? I might ask Ms. Bateman while you are up here, if that's okay. Some of the language, I was surprised to see amendments to the statute because I think to Delegate Boliva's point, this was established 26 years ago and has not been funded. So I was curious about the decision to try and amend the statute that exists when it hasn't ever been funded before, and we haven't been able to see it play out even in the initial intended version.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a cautionary tale of how things change and develop over the years. When my understanding 26 years ago, it was a cry from our urban cities that were in dire need of redevelopment help and redevelopment tools. There are, and Virginia First Cities works on a lot of different tools within the code, but fast forward to 2026, your urban area, what was once urban cities are now urban areas like Fairfax County, Prince William County, that has this abundance of, unfortunately, vacant office space. And we just thought, looking at this tool that's in the code that's never been used, how do we make it more relevant? And to do that, 26 years ago, they didn't know land bank entities weren't a thing. Faith and housing communities weren't a thing. Nonprofits that were doing everything they can to provision more housing was not a thing. So that's why the statute needed to be needs to be updated to be more usable. And we think it can be, and we think it could be an incredible tool.
Thank you, Ms. Bateman. I appreciate that. Could I ask one more question while you're here? The additional text that's been added into the eligibility for how these funds might be used by a local government, I'm looking at line 35. The fund shall make grants or loans to local governments first it was assembling, planning, clearing, and remediating, but now it also includes converting, repositioning, and redeveloping. And then it says, so that we can promote these sites to qualifying entities for redevelopment. And so I'm wondering if it's duplicative and what the purpose of adding those two things in, and whether assembling, planning, clearing, and remediating doesn't necessarily include converting, repositioning, and or redeveloping.
Well, that's a great question. And my understanding, this is a piece of public policy that ran through the Virginia Housing Commission in 2025. And as I recall, I believe that language came in and was requested by the folks from Fairfax County, and I think had much to do with the commercial office space and language they thought they needed. So I can't really speak to that, but I take your point.
Sure. Thanks, Ms. Faithman. I'm going to hold my questions because there's a bunch of folks, I think, who would like to speak in support, and maybe they'll have some additional information to share. So folks in the room, if you'd like to support, I see Ms. Van E. Please come on up.
Jennifer Vaney, Fairfax County. Thank you for the time. We thank the patrons stepping in last minute to help us. The Virginia First Cities in Arlington had worked with Delegate Boliva, the previous Delegate Boliva, to do this last year. And so we jumped on board this summer as it went through the Housing Commission. I think for Fairfax County, we see this as kind of urban go-ready sites to look at our empty offices and just trying to be creative in how we can partner as localities, as private business, and as the state to either use that for housing or use that to attract new businesses, or different ways that we can grow the community that way. So we would love your support. Thank you.
If I might ask you a question then. Yep. Is there anything that you feel that this bill is giving you authority to do that you don't already have authority to do?
I think the funding is the key piece.
It's the funding. Yep. Okay. And if it's not funded, then duly noted. Thank you, Ms. Benny. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Chris Lane with South Cliff Strategies, representing Arlington County. We want to thank the patron for bringing this bill. Arlington, in particular, could benefit from this piece of legislation. Our commercial vacancy rate has been over 20% since the pandemic and has been increasing. Some of our urban corridors, some of the ones that are prime for redevelopment and investment, where this could serve as gap funding, are experiencing rates of upwards of 30%. And so we want to thank, we think that this is really targeted towards redevelopment, where we have 26 square miles of real estate that we have to work with, much of which is already developed. This flexibility will allow us to get housing and affordable housing into those corridors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Joe Lurch with VACO. I think just to reiterate some of the points, the funding here is also leveraging local funds that many of our communities are putting up. And I think, Madam Chair, and to Delegate Keys-Gamarra's question, I think that's part of the work group work is how do you do those guidelines? How do you set that up and for that application process? And so we see this as a great partnership opportunity. Those amendments that you talked about, I was on the work group of the Housing Commission that looked at those. And it's really just to provide more flexibility on how the funds and the grants could be used. So thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Charlie with the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and we believe this bill provides a great opportunity for localities in Northern Virginia to incentivize redevelop aging commercial and office properties, in particular to convert them to residential where feasible. As you know, Northern Virginia localities, including Fairfax County, have made attempts to update and streamline their process to encourage more office to residential conversion, but it still remains a challenge for private developers. So we urge you to support this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Charlie. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Ruth Morrison with the City of Richmond. We support this bill because while the funding is a piece of the puzzle, the legislation also is. So we thank the patron. To the committee's discussion, it would allow more localities that flexibility in different circumstances to be able to use this fund as our downtowns, our localities overall face different circumstances where we would need to tap this to be able to serve our communities for all of our needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Jillian Saul, on behalf of the Virginia chapter of the American Planning Association, we support the bill for the reasons previously stated.
Thank you, Ms. Saul. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, and there is no one online, we're back before the committee for any further questions, discussion, comments, and or a motion. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I heard the testimony and various questions, it appears to me that there are some stages being set up with the new language to perhaps provide that additional information as the first stage, which may help you when you finally, somebody mentioned funding. We wish we did. But they can also set up that funding in stages. That appears to be the strategy. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, the funding that's requested is set out over 2 fiscal years to get the fund started.
Move to report. Or just, was there?
Substitute motion.
Mr. Butcher.
I think there's a lot of, I really appreciate the delegate bringing forward. I think this is an important concept, and I think all of us are committed, but I do think there's a lot, we're touching a lot of housing policy right now, and a lot of funding policy. We've passed multiple funds through here. I think it would make sense to continue this conversation and have it over the next few months, given that this bill doesn't actually change our posture immediately. And so I would hope that the subcommittee would carry this over to give us that time, and then we can work through it on the off year. I hope that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher. Are you making the motion to carry? Or I'm looking for a motion then to carry over.
I'll make a motion to carry it over to 2027.
Second.
There's a motion to carry over to 2027 and a second. That's a voice vote. So if all those in favor would please say aye. Aye. Unopposed? Great. Thank you, Delegate Bulva, for bringing this important bill forward and to start this conversation. I hope that we can get it funded.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought I saw maybe Delegate Carlson in the room. I did. Okay, great. Delegate Carlson, you've got House Bill 388 before us this morning.
Hello, Chair Shin and members of the subcommittee. This bill adds the control of invasive plants, and I have an amendment, or actually I believe it's in the nature of a substitute that I would like to add.
Thank you so much. There is a substitute. Oh, just amendment.
Is it an amendment? Sorry. Thank you.
Motion to amend, and so we can get the bill right properly in front of us. There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye. The amendment is properly before us. Delegate Carlson.
Chair Shin, what the amendment does is it makes sure to clarify that the types of invasive plants which the service districts would be able to control would be limited to those that are identified by the Department of Conservation and Recreation pursuant to Section 10.1-10462. Speaking to the purpose of the bill, service districts already have the authority to do beautification and landscaping, some of which they can interpret to include invasive plants, but they would like clarity that they are allowed to remove identified invasive plants when they're doing their duties.
Excellent. Thank you, Delegate Carlson. Are there any folks in the room who'd like to speak in support of House Bill 388? We see a couple folks. Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Chris Lane with Southcliff Strategies, this time on behalf of Blue Ridge Prism and the Virginia Basic Plants Coalition. So we worked with a group of up to 90 organizations who were in support of this work. Essentially, what it would do is provide that additional flexibility to localities to be able to just make that small adjustment. This would be able to empower a lot of the work that's happening boots on the ground. We've seen incredible investment from various counties, whether that's in volunteer hours or whether that's in direct appropriations. This would both help to sort of streamline their ability to do this type of work, focus it, and allow them to partner with adjacent localities. We think this is going to be a more powerful tool to really get at the funding and the workforce components of dealing with the invasive plants that are actually out there in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Good morning.
Madam Chair, Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau, we're in support. Invasives are causing a lot of economic damage to our farms and fields, and we think this is a good measure to help carry this work forward.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Matt Benedetti representing the Shenandoah Valley Battlefields National Historic District. We have over 8,000 acres that we preserve and protect and 35 miles of riverbanks. Anything we can do to help with invasive plants is
Thank you,
helpful.
Mr. Benedetti.
So thank you for bringing the bill.
Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak in opposition to 388? Seeing none, we can go online. Mr. Lippman. Good morning, Mr. Lippman.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Lippman. I'm the president of the Loudon Invasive Removal Alliance, also known as LIRA. LIRA is a coalition of private landowners in Loudoun County, including 86 homeowners associations that together represent over half the county's population. We partnered with the county to establish an annual $2 million invasive plant removal grant program that they run and oversee with our Soil and Water Conservation District. The program is designed as a boots-on-the-ground public awareness campaign that has been embraced by constituents of Loudoun County and has been wildly popular and effective since its launch in September of last year. However, the program has been funded from budget surplus to date, making the future of the program less predictable. The establishment of a service district would provide our officials the option of a foundation for a sustained, dedicated investment, enhanced by the ability to partner with localities through the state, which would supercharge these efforts and support entities like LIRA doing the work on the ground in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us this morning, Mr. Lippman. Without anything else from the public, we're going to be back before the committee. And I would be looking for a motion to report with amendments.
Motion to report with amendments.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll. On a vote to 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Reports. Thanks. Thank you, thank you. Are there any other members in here that I am missing? Okay. In that case, Delegate Downey, might you be ready to go next with your bill?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I present from my seat? You
You most certainly can present from the dais. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I present to you today HB 810. It's a charter bill brought to me by the City of Newport News. Before I speak to the bill, I have an amendment to submit.
Might there be a motion to adopt said amendment?
Motion to adopt amendment.
There's a motion. Might I get a second on that motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt this amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, great. We've got the amendment properly before us. Delegate Downey.
Yes, Madam Chair. This charter seeks to establish a Citizens Compensation Committee to review compensation for members of the council and the mayor. The amendment kind of sets out the composition of the committee in more detail. This charter amendment was approved by the Newport News City Council in a unanimous vote after holding a public hearing regarding this matter. The purpose of this committee is to bring transparency to the process of increasing salaries of the city council and mayor. The Composition Committee would perform a detailed analysis of the official duties of council members and compare the duties and compensation to that of similar positions in the public and private sector. After this, they will deliver data-backed justification for increases, and the council may vote to raise their salary up to but not exceeding the amount recommended by the committee. The raise will not take effect until after the next city council election following the adoption of the ordinance. And I hope that the members of the committee will consider bringing this legislation and pass it to the full committee.
Thank you very much, Delegate Downey. Are there any folks in the room, or actually let me ask, are there any questions from members of this body? Seeing none, we're going to go to the room and see if there's someone in support of this bill. Please come forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Jerry Wilson. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for the City of Newport News. And on behalf of my council and my city, we support the bill.
Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Are there any folks who'd like to speak in opposition to this bill? I do not believe we have anyone online. And so we're back before the committee for questions or comments. Questions or comments? Delegate Downey, when we first saw this bill come before this subcommittee, I asked a couple of questions that I think are included here. I think that this might be the first of its kind in this citizen committee, and so I think there might be still a couple of outstanding questions around the operations of this and how we might get this language correct. And so I do have some hesitations around this. I want to be transparent with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And so if there are no further comments or questions, Delegate Martinez.
I would like to make a motion to lay the bill gently on the table.
Thank you, Delegate Martinez. There's a motion to very gently lay this bill on the table. If there might be a second on that, there's a second. And so, Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll. Delegate Downey, thank you for bringing this bill forward so that we can have this conversation about what it might look like to pay our elected officials a salary that is worth their or compensates them for their work. We really appreciate you bringing that forward today.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
I'm not seeing any of our other patrons yet in the room, so I'm going to go to Delegate Martinez. Might you be prepared to present your bill? Okay, great. Would you like to do it from the dais?
If I might.
Excellent.
I do have amendments.
That is what I understand. Delegate Martinez has amendments to his bill. If I might have a motion, please.
Motion to amend.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Where the motion or the amendment should be before us. Council Sharp, is it online maybe? Yes, great. It's online. Delegate Martinez, back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendments make the bill permissive. It also adds a reporting mechanism to the bill, asking localities that take advantage of the program to share the data with the Department of Housing and Community Development. The bill HB 1141 is a bill that gives our localities a practical tool to help first-time homebuyers achieve the dream of ownership. The math facing young Virginians to buy their first home is unforgiving. The median home prices in our Commonwealth now exceeds $400,000. First-time homebuyers need to earn roughly $127,000 just to afford a median-priced home, which is up from $79,000 just 3 years ago. And that's before we even talk about what happens at closing. In many localities, water and sewer connection fees are one of the more significant costs that ultimately are borne by the new home buyers or renters. In Virginia, the average single-family home faces about $12,243 in water and sewer connection fees, upwards as high as $30,000 in some areas. The costs can actually double for multifamily housing units. This bill does two things. First, it authorizes but does not require any locality to reimburse first-time home buyers for all the utility connection fees. Localities can tailor their programs with income limits, sale price caps, or other criteria that fits the community's needs. This is an enabling legislation that respects local control. Second, the bill allows that have adopted affordable dwelling units ordinances to waive these fees for development subject to those ordinances. If we're asking builders to produce affordable units, we shouldn't add thousands of fees that get passed through to the buyers. This approach works because it addresses barriers to the point of purchase, right when first-time buyers are the most financially stretched. It complements our existing down payment assistance programs without creating new state expenditures. Virginia is competing for young families and working professionals. This bill gives our locality another option to welcome them to home ownership or find an affordable rental home. I hope the committee will support this bill. I do have stakeholders here who can answer questions the committees may have.
Thank you, Delegate Martinez. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, we'll go to the room and ask if there are folks who'd like to speak in support of this bill. Please come forward. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. The delegate explained it well. We appreciate him bringing this bill. Water and sewer tap fees, as he explained, can stretch from all the way from $800 per unit, and when you get to the multifamily side, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per unit. So those are costs that get baked in right onto the renter or the home buyer. And I know there's a lot of contention about waiving or reimbursing those fees, but that would be a significant incentive for a locality to put in place to actually lower the cost of housing. So we hope you support the bill. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I want to thank Delegate Martinez for bringing this permissive bill for localities, and we support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you state?
Gowdy from the Virginia Municipal League, sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Gowdy. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufacturing Modular Housing Association. Appreciate the delegate bringing this forward and gives the localities another tool.
Thank you, Mr. Gumbiner. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, we're back before the committee. And Delegate Keys-Gamarra, did you have a comment or question?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to ask any of the folks who just testified, or perhaps the patron, if they have been approached by a locale that would like to implement this.
Here we've got a Mr. Clark coming up. Mr. Clark?
Madam Chair, Delegate, I would say several localities have looked into enacting these programs. There was some disagreement last year whether they had the authority to do so. And so legislation last year kind of clarified that and said, yes, you do have the authority to do it. The intent of this bill was to kind of expand the options and how they could configure those programs. So use that as a reimbursement that would go directly to the home buyer rather than to reimburse it or waive it for the developer. So the first provision in here would say the home buyer would actually see that credit in their pocket.
I see.
The second provision is just tying it to affordable dwelling unit localities, Fairfax, Loudoun, Charlottesville, and a handful of others. So there have been some that want to explore it, just haven't seen the clarity in the code.
Thank you. Excellent. We are back before the committee for any comments, questions, and/or motions.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Delegate Wyatt.
And I appreciate the delegate asking that question. I too have the same concern, and I see folks from many localities around the Commonwealth here, and I don't believe any of them have come and spoke. That if maybe they would come and share how it may impact their locality.
Delegate Wyatt, I would say that because this bill is permissive, it might not impact any of the localities that are in the room because, again, it is permissive and they would have to opt into it and be a thing that they'd like to offer. And certainly this clarifies that if they wanted to do so, they could. That is my read of the bill, Delegate Martinez.
Madam Chair, that is correct. It is permissive, and if a locality declines to do it, that's their option.
Sure. Thank you so much, Delegate Martinez. And we're back before the committee for a motion then.
Motion to report.
There's a motion to report. There's a motion to report as amended, if I could get a second.
Second. Oh, sorry, I can't.
No worries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. If you'd please open up the roll to report with amendments. And members, please cast your vote. Delegate Martinez, 5-2, that bill reports. Thank you so much. We have a couple of outstanding patrons who are on our agenda for today, and that includes Delegate Thomas and Delegate Phillips. So if anyone might have eyes on them, please send them over our way. But since we have a little bit of time, I have 3 bills on today's agenda. And so if I might pass this gavel over to Delegate Keys-Gamarra. Delegate Keys-Gamarra, I'm going to give you this gavel here, and I'm going to go over to the podium, and that way I'm not quite in everyone's way here. Madam Chair. Excellent. Madam Chair, I've got 3 bills up in this sub today, and I'm hoping that we might be able to start with House Bill 876, as I've been fondly calling it, the Temporary Towers Bill.
All right. Tell us about House Bill 876.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This bill before you, it establishes a consistent and predictable standard for deployment of temporary cell towers while maintaining the appropriate level of local control of permitting processes. Today, wireless carriers like your AT&T, Verizon, et cetera, they face significant hurdles in deploying assets to provide quality, reliable service during emergency situations and during planned and unplanned events. This winter storm might have been an example of that, but also if you've got like a big event in your community, like a festival or a fair or a concert, those might be instances in which you have temporary sites that go up. And we know more than ever, reliable connections are so important for our community, but also certainly play a really big or a big role in emergencies and for our safety. Increasingly, communities and families rely primarily on wireless to be connected. That includes nearly 1 in 3 low-income adults, 1 in 5 members of the Latino community, 1 in 4 of the Black American community. They rely on they rely on wireless connection solely for their broadband connectivity. Additionally, more than 90% of Americans, we all have smartphones. Businesses, especially small and family-owned ones, rely on wireless as their primary connection. And current law doesn't allow carriers to efficiently deploy temporary portable assets like cells on wheels that provide additional capacity to support large-scale events or to respond to emergency outages. And without these temporary assets, localized increase in demand stresses the existing infrastructure, which impacts public safety, emergency services, our first responders, as well as local commerce. 876 is going to help ensure local zoning policies do not require a building permit for the rapid deployment of a temporary cell site, provided the following conditions apply to the cell site that is being proposed. The site won't be longer or taller than 80 feet. 80 feet. I'm only 5 feet, so like 80 feet is, much taller than I am. And it will be on wheels and in place for less than 30 days. So it's not the kind of temporary tower that you'll see up or a site that you'll see up for a really long time. The site application demonstrates a need for its deployment, so you'll have to justify why it's necessary. And then applicants can seek approval from the locality if they need to extend that time from 30 days up to 180 days. So Madam Chair and members of the sub, I hope that you will look favorably upon reporting HB 876. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? Okay. Do we have anyone here to testify in support?
Good morning. Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Jeremy Crandall. I'm here today on behalf of CTIA. We are the Wireless Industry Trade Association. Our members include wireless carriers like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, as well as other stakeholders from the wireless industry. I will just say this bill, as you just heard, is focused on addressing what can be and what are significant hurdles in deploying wireless assets, both during emergency situations, but also planned and unplanned events. So we strongly support this bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to where this would be placed, is there any notice to the community?
So as it pertains to the bill itself, it is my understanding it makes no changes to existing law when it comes to both local and state permitting rules when it comes to wireless deployments. This is strictly about deployment of those temporary assets that I'm talking about. And so it would be my understanding that what exists in current law, if you're a municipality, if you're a local government, a county government, or state law, nothing would change with this bill.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? I'm sorry. Anybody in opposition? This brings it back to the committee.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank
Delegate
you.
Wyatt.
I want to thank the delegate for bringing this bill forward. I know working in the industry for more than 30 years, whether it be a sporting event or a state fair, everyone's experienced cell phone issues at large attended venues. And typically the location or space is defined because the providers will run fiber optic cable to that. So once the structure, the pad is set, it's typically used, whether it's annual events or whether it's our collegiate stadiums, those kind of things that are only used temporarily. But it's good and helps keep everyone connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I might answer the question you had.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that the language of the bill says that a locality shall include in its zoning ordinances a way for wireless companies to put these temporary sites up. And so in that ordinance, they can include the provisions of notification that they feel is appropriate for their community.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to real quick echo Delegate Wyatt's sentiments, but yes, I move to report.
Thank you, Delegate Anderson. You wanted to also agree? Yes. Okay. I want to move to report when appropriate. Yeah. I think we need to make sure there's nobody on virtual. Is that correct? Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We operate by motion.
Motion report.
Second.
All right. If we can open the rolls to vote, please. Thank you. I'll get it for you. I'm assuming she's a yes. I got you. I did it for you. Oh, close the roll.
Yes. Thank you. We've got Josh Thomas. Okay. Thank you so much, Delegate Keys-Gamarra. I really appreciate your support. We've got Delegate Thomas in the room, so I'm going to take Delegate Thomas next and resume my post here temporarily, like a sight tower. It's fine. Okay. Good morning, Delegate Thomas.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
You have before us House Bill 1463.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us all the things.
So I'll be very quick because I know people have places to go. This is a cleanup bill. I know a manufactured housing may not be the largest proportion of affordable housing in Virginia, but it is a significant one for swaths of the population throughout the Commonwealth. There have been two issues that have come up that need to be cleaned up due to different interpretations from different localities when it comes to manufactured housing and zoning. The first one is there's concern about when a manufactured home community perhaps no longer continues to be categorized as such. What happens to those homes on those individual lots? Do they, as time goes on, do they stay zoned for manufactured housing individually or not? And so this would just say it is permitted that they can continue to function in that way, therefore opening up more affordable housing for people. The second cleanup item is that there's a continuous use requirement when you grandfather zoning change in. Here it would say that the continuous use does not require occupancy. There's been some disagreement about that among certain localities. And so what we would do is just say as long as the home is being properly maintained and structurally sound, all the things that a locality would want, so that neighbors are fine, no property values are going down, that home could continue to stay in that posture. Again, to ensure that we have more affordable housing in the Commonwealth. So one of those rare times where we can create more affordable or keep affordable housing at no cost to the state. So it's my hope that the subcommittee will report the bill.
Thank you, Delegate Thomas. It's a rare occasion when you can keep affordable housing at no cost to the state. So we will bring it back to the committee to see if there are any questions or comments on this bill at this point. And seeing none so far, could I have folks who are going to speak in support of this bill come forward?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufacturing Modular Housing Association. We want to thank the delegate for bringing this bill. And this is, like he said, just a very simple cleanup bill. We had a community that is still functioning as a community and had some empty lots in that community. And one of the jurisdictions told them that they couldn't put homes back in on those empty lots because they had been vacant for more than 2 years. So this bill does not expand any authority already given. It just allows the community to continue to function to replace homes on vacant lots within a community. And the other issue is out on fee simple lots that to maintain their conforming rights, whether or not they're occupied, as long as they're maintained, as the delegate said. So be happy to answer any additional questions that anyone might have.
Thank you, Mr. Grumbiner. If you'll stay close, because I suspect that there might be some questions. Are there any folks who would like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, and I do not see anyone online. Are there any questions from members of the committee for either the patron or Mr. Grumbiner? Delegate Keys-Gamarra, and then I'll come to you, Delegate Wyatt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm trying to understand a little bit more specifically with respect to, Madam Chair, I would ask the patron, regarding the implementation of this, particularly with respect to having had a previous home, but that I assume the home would have been removed from that lot. And then we have, is there any limitation on how long it can be before a new one is placed there? And does another party does the locale have anything to say about that in the interim?
I mean, I'll defer to the expert on that one.
So there's two different situations. If it's a fee simple lot, just an individual lot, the non-conforming, the grandfather clause grants it for 2 years. So if it's vacant for 2 years or greater, then no, those conforming rights are lost. So only if the home stays on that property and in this new maintained condition or occupied, then you can replace it. So if it goes beyond 2 years, then you lose those non-conforming rights. And the other option that we're cleaning up is,
if I may, just Delegate Keys-Gamarra. So in the scenario that the patron, I'm sorry, the witness has provided us, and they remove, they own the land. The fee, does the person with the mobile home own that land?
The lot.
The lot.
Yeah. Mr. Grumbiner.
Madam Chair, yes, typically they own both. And so they could sell the property with the home on it or without. So those non-conforming rights can pass to the subsequent landowner, yes, but only, again, 2 years or less.
Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Let's say they don't sell it and they don't have a home on the lot, but they still have the land. Then what? Describe those rights at that time.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Grumbiner, please go ahead.
Yeah, they only have 2 years. So if they do not replace the home within 2 years, they lose those non-conforming rights. So and the non-conforming rights is when the zoning has changed. So originally they were granted a permit to place a home there. And then the zoning has changed over time. So that if now they come back, if the lot remains vacant for 2 or more years, they cannot override that existing zoning without a variance from the locality. So that this bill does not change that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grumbiner. Delegate Keys-Gamarra, you raised a a question for me that, because I think the 2-year period is a thing that we see in section I here around whether the home has been occupied or not for 2 years. But in section H above it, I don't necessarily see a shot clock in which it sounds like as long as the manufactured home meets current HUD housing code in any open lot, they can just place it there. Is that correct, Mr. Grumbiner?
Madam Chair, that's not correct because paragraph C defines the 2-year continuous use. So there's still 2 years applies to paragraph H as well.
Do you, thank you so much. Can you point me to, or maybe Council Sharp, can you point me to where in section C we might see that?
Yes, Madam Chair. If you look on line 34, it says, an existing or more restricted use continues, and such use is not discontinued for more than 2 years.
Thank you so much, Council Sharp. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Grumbiner. Delegate I promised Delegate White I would go to Delegate White, and then I can come back to you, Delegate Martinez.
No, Madam Chair, I don't have a question. This is a good property rights bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate White. Delegate Martinez.
Madam Chair, if I may kind of clarify.
Sure, Delegate Martinez.
So when we're talking about non-conforming use, we're talking about a site that has changed its zoning. So this, when you talk about grandfathering in, the use is grandfathered for, and once that home has been moved, because it's a non-conforming use and because the zoning has changed, there is a 2-year period in which they can continue to use that under a grandfather clause. So I believe what this is just saying is that only if the zoning has not changed, then it's not an issue. But if the zoning has changed, then this ability to use that lot for its current non-conforming use there's a 2-year clock for it.
Thank you,
I hope
Delegate
that
Martinez.
helps.
Thank you, Delegate Martinez. That does help. Okay, so then we are back before the committee.
Move to report.
Motion to report. Second. And a second. Madam Clerk, if you would please open up the roll. Thank you so much. On a vote of 7-0, the bill reports. Thank you, Delegate Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Non-conforming Delegate Thomas, goodbye. Do we have, I saw Delegate Phillips. Good morning, Delegate Phillips.
I have HB 1054, which is the Town of Chatham Charter revisions. It simply amends the charter for the Town of Chatham in Pennsylvania County by updating or removing outdated provisions. And I have the Vice Mayor here if you have any technical questions.
Sure, that sounds great. Do you know which, well, I was going to ask, do you want to explain to us which provisions of the charter you are updating?
If it's okay, I'll let the Vice Mayor answer.
Excellent. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of CCT Sub 1. My name is Will Pace. I'm the Vice Mayor of Chatham. So this is more of a cleanup charter change for the Town of Chatham. We haven't changed it since 2010, though. Really, the bottom line is the things we're trying to change is that we have references about the police sergeant. Well, the police sergeant is not the top law enforcement officer in the Town of Chatham. It's the chief of police, so that changes too. Mm-hmm. We also changed language regarding the salary cap, though it's been in place for as long as I remember, though. It hasn't been changed since 2002. And there's also gender conforming language, though, because our mayor and 2 council members are ladies. So we put that language in there too, though.
Sure.
And also the word ofteners in there. I've never heard of that word, so it's changed to more often.
That sounds great. Did you, Mr. Vice Mayor, might I ask, did you have any feedback around the change in public notices? Because you're moving from the public notices in circulation, like in print media, now moving it to electronic media publications. Did you have any feedback from folks on that?
So there's an amendment to that. So there's a provision, I don't know if the amendment is before y'all, though, but there was change on the Senate side. It was electronic publication means, I don't have it in front of me, though. That amendment is to be stricken, though. So the thinking at the time was that, because the town likes to inform citizens via social media and internet, but the way it was written, though, it could be interpreted that you may use it as an alternative compared to print media, but that's not the case. So that's why you had this amendment before you that strikes that, though, so that should be in there.
Mr. Vice Mayor, hold on one second. Council Sharp, do you have an amendment for us on this one? A technical amendment, great. Could someone move? Is there a second on that? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. None opposed. Okay. You're right. We've got an amendment here now before us properly to, there's actually two places. Nope, just that one. 290 on lines 297. We are unstriking that or. And then we're going to strike the rest of it. Strike everything else on 298 after town. So we're just going to revert it back to the original language.
Yes, ma'am.
Could it be possible, Mr. Vice Mayor, that Senator Rome was in that committee meeting in which that happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that again?
Never mind.
Okay. Sorry.
Never mind. She is a fierce defender of public notices. And so, okay, that's helpful. I appreciate your clarification. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak in support? I don't think we see anyone online. Okay, anyone in the room who'd like to speak in opposition to the bill? Great. The bill's brought before the committee.
Move to report as amended.
Motion to report as amended and a second. Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll. On a vote of 7-0, the bill will report. Thank you, Delegate Phillips.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you all so much. Be safe this week.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Okay, Delegate Keys-Gamarra, I'm going to give the gavel back to you and run back to the podium to do my other two bills, please. The difference
Delegate, you
between
have the floor.
Delegate Phillips' height and my height was to move this mic all the way down. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. My next bill I've got before the subcommittee is House Bill 888, which addresses one of the hidden barriers of housing development costs and limitations, which is excessive parking mandates. Across the Commonwealth, local zoning codes require developers to build a minimum number of parking spaces for every housing unit, regardless of whether the residents who are occupying that unit have cars or not. In areas with decent and accessible transit, these requirements often exceed the actual demand, but because of these mandates, the developers have to build the parking in anyways. For example, a single structured parking space can cost anywhere between $25,000 to $50,000 or more to construct, and these costs get passed on to residents through higher rents, higher home prices, and even to the residents who don't own cars. Excessive parking requirements also reduce the number of housing units that can be built on a lot or a site, and that contributes often to our housing supply shortage. I think we know that to try and solve the housing supply shortage, or the housing crisis, really, it's going to be about tracking costs, but also about supply. And so the bill sets reasonable limits on maximum parking requirements in designated areas where residents have access to public transit. These designated areas include locations within 1 mile of a mass transit station, revitalization areas within approved small area plans, as well as zoning districts that permit higher density residential or mixed-use development, and parcels that have affordable dwelling unit ordinances. In these designated areas, the bill caps parking requirements at 1/2 space per unit for multifamily and mixed-use development, and 1 space per unit for single-family, 2-family, and townhouse developments. Some localities in Northern Virginia are already moving in this direction. Arlington County is one example that has already adopted guidance allowing as few as 0.2 spaces per unit for development within 1/8 mile of a metro station, and Alexandria has also reduced ratios near metro and for affordable housing complexes. The bill does not prohibit developers from developing more parking spaces if they want to. It just removes the mandate that forces them to build more than the market demands. And we hope that that will in turn not just reduce costs for renters and home buyers, but also allow for more housing to be built. I hope that the subcommittee will look favorably upon this bill, but I'm also happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? All right. Anyone wish to testify in support of this bill?
Good morning, Chairwoman and members of the subcommittee. I'm Wendy Ginsburg. I'm from the city of Alexandria, and on behalf of the city, we want to say we support smart growth and transit-oriented development by limiting excessive off-street parking requirements in areas that are already served by transit, which this bill does. Reducing parking minimums helps lower housing costs, supports walkable and transit-friendly communities, and advances Alexandria's Vision Zero mobility and climate goals. This bill reflects the practices Alexandria already uses successfully and provides consistent statewide guardrails that encourage safer, more affordable, and more multimodal development patterns. For these reasons, we strongly support HB 888, and we thank the patron. Thank you.
Thank you. If the witnesses would just come up close, we'll...
Gotcha. Madam Chair, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. We also support the bill. I think some of the misconceptions on this bill is that it gets rid of parking altogether. Really allows the private sector who are conducting these parking studies, looking at the market, looking what the market's demanding, looking at the consumer who's going to be in those units, really determining, what the appropriate level of parking it is. I think another provision in this bill that's permissive, just for folks who may have flagged that, is to set up a more streamlined process, whereas as you're going through the planning process, instead of having to go to either a commission or go through an extended review process, the developer would have the ability to do that with staff and work that out. And that would apply in areas outside of these designated zones. So that's a local option that would help streamline the process and get parking relief in areas that are outside some of the transit areas. But again, that leaves it the decision with the locality. So we hope you support the bill. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Hankins, Partnership for Smarter Growth. We advocate for walkable cities in the Richmond region. We support the bill. It's good smart growth policy. It's good for the environment and climate. And then parking regulations can also be kind of an onerous government regulation that doesn't really meet the reality of the ground for a specific project. We are in a housing crisis. It's good for affordability, lowering costs. And we do prefer the language of 262, but we do want to thank the delegate for carrying this bill and Delegate Simmons as well. Thank you.
Hello, Charlie with the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and our legislative agenda specifically identifies parking requirements as a contributor to the high cost of building new multifamily housing, a critical need for Northern Virginia, and we ask that you report this bill. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Christian Schick. I'm with Strong Towns, an advocacy organization that supports allowing small towns to develop in traditional patterns that are naturally more fiscally sustainable. I support House Bill 888, curbing the regulation of parking mandates because it removes a regulatory barrier working against the free market and propping up the vicious cycle of car dependency. I thank the bill patron and this committee for their consideration.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you state again who you are and who you're from?
Sure.
Who you represent?
I'm Christian Schick, and I represent Strong Towns.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Sarah Thomas with Vector on behalf of Virginia Association for Commercial Real Estate. Really appreciate the flexibility this bill provides and wish you to support. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance, and we also support the bill for the reasons previously stated. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole with Freedom Virginia, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Does anyone wish to testify against the bill?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Joe Lurch with VACO, and I want to thank the patron for robust discussions we've had on this. I just want to limit my comments to two specific points. The first part is that Section A there. These are ordinances that are developed at the local level, and some may do it to this standard, and some may have. I think the problem that we're encountering is once you put this in state code, it becomes a parking ordinance in state code, and it removes that flexibility. The legislature meets once a year. The law's getting enacted July 1st. We believe that our members are more nimble at the local level to make those adjustments rather than having something baked into state code. The other thing I'd want to point out, and I apologize to the patron because I didn't realize this until I was looking at the bill again, but that struck language on line 44, that actually removes some flexibility for localities that may be putting in parking maximums, which is something that many of them are doing. And I think to some of the testifiers before, many of our localities want to be less auto-dependent. And so I think removing that language would take that flexibility away from localities as well. So thank you.
Excuse me, sir, could you come back? Yes. The last comment, if you don't mind,
Sure.
clarifying how this specific language removes the ability for the locale to have flexibility. I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, so let me walk you through a scenario. So it's on line 44, it's ordinances regarding the building of houses and establishing setback lines. Mm-hmm. And what it's saying is that when you're doing that for houses, including, and it currently says, including the adoption of off-street parking requirements, we believe by striking that, you may be removing the ability of a locality to set parking maximums so that a developer is maybe not overbuilding in a certain area, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I might. Thank you so much. I think the argument around this being a statewide parking ordinance that we're enforcing on localities, that's one interpretation of it. But I would say that this authority already resides with localities. For example, Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, where they have mass transit, they've already implemented really great parking policies already in reducing off-street minimums. And so if the localities were bought into this, then they already have the authority to do it, and they have not done this. And so it seems like it's kind of the point where we have to step in and say we are going to address affordable housing and the housing supply by being able to do this. The second part of it, it says, just for the full context of what line 43 and 44 say, any locality may by ordinance regulate the building of houses in the locality, including the adoption of minimum setbacks, side yards, and the establishment lot sizes. And the part that we're striking is off-street parking requirements. I guess when I read that, it seems to me the locality could include that, but there are other things that they could include that aren't those four things, and I think that they do. And so it doesn't seem to me to be necessarily hamstringing a locality, but I guess that's why we have lawyers, because you all read things differently, and then you argue about it in court.
Thank you. I have a question for the patron, but we may want to ask, if we could ask legal for perhaps, by striking this particular language at 44, what limitations would impact a locale?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure if I can give a definitive answer. I'm not sure by striking that language that we really prevent localities from imposing a maximum. I think they still have that authority under the law that would then exist under this new section as well. I don't think they'd be limited by this new language in setting a maximum.
Thank you. If we have no other testimony, the bill comes back. Excuse me. All right. Did we have testimony, virtual testimony? Yes. For this one. Can we do the virtual testimony now?
Yes, and then we have some here too, 262s.
Okay. I don't know how to. Yes.
Just because we've got.
Sure. Thank you. All right, we'll do the virtual testimony, 90 seconds each. I'm sorry. Per side. So, do I have to push something for this to happen? Okay, I see. All right, thank you. All right, we will hear from Chase Hatchett.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Chase Hatchett with the Housing Policy Initiative at the Pew Charitable Trust. We are in support of HB 888 and HB 262, which will enable much needed new housing in Virginia. HB 888 and HB 262 will create parking requirement flexibility for new homes. Local mandates often require more parking than is necessary, which makes building difficult and more costly, despite the fact that 30% of low-income households don't own a car. Our research has identified curbing parking mandates as an effective way to lower housing costs, and Connecticut, Florida, Montana, and Washington have already passed legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Becca Dedert. I hope I didn't butcher that. Dedert.
Perfect. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Becca Dieter, and I'm with the Coalition for Smarter Growth. Parking reform can boost home building by 40 to 70% and reduce housing costs by 17%. The parking maximums set by HB 888 would encourage sustainable, dense, and walkable neighborhoods while respecting local context. We appreciate the targeted approach of this bill to tie reduced minimums to places with transit access, planned higher density, and mixed-use walkable development, as well as affordable housing developments. We hope you all will support this measure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Letty Hardy.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Letty Hardy. I'm the mayor of Falls Church. I'm speaking on my own behalf. I care deeply about both housing and economic development, and in the last decade in elected office, both have been central to my work. So I understand that 262 is being incorporated into House Bill 888, which only speaks to parking requirements in residential mixed use. And while I certainly support reforming parking for housing and thank Delegates for patroning, I want to speak to the importance of more comprehensive parking reform. Modernizing parking mandates across the board is not only pro-housing.
Could you wrap it up, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, it's pro-business, pro-environment, pro-historic preservation. In Falls Church, we actually relaxed parking requirements and got 15% more new business occupancy permits that are only possible because of that change. And we got 0 complaints about overflow parking or lack of parking. So that's economic opportunities. I want to encourage us to think more broadly about more comprehensive parking reform, but certainly thank the patron for this bill.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, the bill is back with the committee. Any further
Madam
comments?
Chair, was there anybody opposed online?
Oh. I don't think so. Was there any, is there anybody?
No, okay.
No.
I just wanted to check.
Okay,
Right,
thank you. The bill is, did you have a motion, sir?
No, Madam Chair, I'm just speaking to the
Okay.
bill. And maybe a question. The restaurant associations or retail associations, where are they at on this bill? I know it will flow over into public parking, street parking, and I know personally from calls living in Central Virginia on restaurants along Broad Street where limited parking is that maybe affect their business. So it's as they continue to build out on these parcels and limit parking, the individual that may have a car will occupy more of the public spaces or public parking that could really affect the restaurant industry and the retail convenience stores and those in our locality. So it is some concern there and should be concern in our restaurant and retail folks. So thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Wyatt. Does the patron wish to address or any of your witnesses?
Madam Chair, I might be incorrect because there were so many folks here who stood, but I think the Northern Virginia Chamber or there was a chamber who's testified maybe on this. Am I wrong on that? Maybe. Or like commercial developers? I
don't have that on my list,
but okay.
If you can either answer it or address it or maybe.
I think the concern is heard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did he wish to say something?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a motion.
Okay.
I move to report the report.
Do we have a
second?
Thank you. It's been, we have a motion and a second.
With a substitute.
With the substitute. All right, can we open the rolls and, there's no substitute? It's incorporated. Okay. Oh, did we need to do the incorporation or did you do that at a different time? Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, if we can open the rolls. Motion to report. Yes. With the substitute. I got so many people. Report.
Madam Chair, just to clarify the motion is to report with substitute. That.
So if we'll scratch that and vote again, please. Thank you.
So I second the motion to report with substitute.
Madam Chair,
We close the.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I have a subsequent motion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn, and speaking briefly to that motion, I know we still have a bill before us, but we can go ahead and take that up in full if we have time, but but believe we do need to clear this so we can get our committee started on time. So move to adjourn.
Okay. So moved. We're adjourned.